We're starting with this morning's Chok Israel, Vayetze liyom sheni, Vayetze for Monday. We're in the Mussar, Sefer HaRokeach. Fundamental concept, a very interesting concept, a seemingly easy concept, however very hard to actually follow it. It says as follows: You devarav mu'atin, a person should be a man or a woman of few words. V'kol namuch, and a low voice. Ume'at sechok, and very little joke. Ume'at shvuot Hashem, and to do very little of any oaths or swears in God's name. Afilu al haemet, even though it is truth. Now, back in the day, nowadays we don't like to swear, we don't like to say oaths at all. Back in the day, taking oaths was something more of the culture of Jewish people, especially by Bet Din, whenever people got into big fights or anything of the sort. However, even back in the day when that was that culture, it was very little oaths and swears should be taken, even if they were true. Now, as we know and we've spoken about, an oath is only with using Hashem's name. That's a shvuat Hashem. Next. V'lo yavor al leshono kazav, a person should never ever lie about anything. V'lo yeshev besod mesahakim, and a person should not sit around with the jokers, with those who waste their time, and frivolity, and we know that those types of groups, they're always speaking Lashon Hara, Chas v'Shalom, so a person should not sit there. Ka'amur b'Yirmiyah, as it says by Yirmiyahu Hanavi, Lo yashavti besod mesahakim, that he said he did not sit amongst, in the midst of those who joke around. Va'eloz mipnei yadecha badad yashavti kizam meletani. He says that he sat alone, rather than sitting amongst with others, which could have filled him up, lo alenu, with horrible things. He sat alone. He was a loner, as we like to say. Nowadays, it's not so cool to be a loner. If you're not hip, if you're not social, if you don't speak about others, it's not in fashion. Chas v'shalom, person should lead by example, and they should be the one to dictate the conversation, productive conversation of wisdom, whether it's Torah, whether it's business, but anything that has to do that is productive. That's the type of conversation that should be led, rather than speaking frivolity and joking and about others which has no content, real content to it. Next. וכשקורא בתורה והנביאים והכתובים ובתלמוד ורואה הגמול והעונש ויודע כי עצמו מעשיו ייכנע וישפיל עצמו וירח לבבו וירא מעונש הדבר. When a person reads the stories of the Torah or of the prophets, or as well any of the stories which are brought down in our Talmud, and we look at the many situations where there's rewards, and as well as there are punishments, a person has to let those stories resonate with them and understand that they are obviously true, and then they should think to themselves, wow, if that could happen to them, if they could be, he's using it more on the punishment side, but we can use it also on the reward side. If those individuals got reward for doing good, when we do good, we'll get reward. And if they were punished for not acting properly towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, wow, how humble and how scared should one be also for the punishments which could be set for them. And that's what he says, V'yashuv, he should rather be scared of the punishment, and he should do teshuvah. As it says by Yoshiyahu Hanavi, אשר קרא את בגדיו והשיב לו הקדוש ברוך הוא יען רך לבביך ותיכנע מפניי. Yoshiyahu Hanavi ripped his clothes in order to show how he wanted to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously accepted that from him. Hakiniyah hi anava. Subduing oneself is really an aspect of humility. Moshel b'ma'asav uberucho, one who's able to take control of their deeds and their spirit. Kishemivazin oto, you want to see one who's really humble? When others, lo alenu, berate him, insult him. Ve'ayecholet be'ado lihinakem, and he has the capabilities of taking revenge, whether physical, or more importantly, I guess, verbal, and he doesn't. U'me'anava v'shiflut shotek, from his humility, he is quiet. He stays quiet. V'sovel, and he takes the suffering. Again, we're not talking about taking abuse. We spoke about that last week. We're talking about now, there's nothing that's going to come out of it. Nothing good ever comes out of an argument. No one wins out of an argument. Not one side or the other side. It's just a fact. And if one time it happens that they come and they either attack him personally or financially, or his children or his family, a person should zip. It's very, very hard. We have to know when to and when not to. But at the proper time too, we have to be as quiet and zip as possible. Kemo, and this is the greatest example, Vayidom Aharon. Aharon, to his eldest, they came, look at this, look at the Mina Shamayim connecting to this morning's Halacha. They came to serve in the tabernacle, in the Mishkan, while they were drunk. And what happened? Kadosh Baruch Hu killed them, took them. Nadav and Avihu. And then Aharon, the whole Klal Yisrael, the way the commentaries explain, looked at Aaron. What's Aaron going to do? Is he going to cry? Is he going to be happy? Is he going to accept? Is he not going to accept? Is he going to... What's he going to do? Nothing. He stood like a stone. He stood like an idol. Vayidom Aharon. He was completely silent, and he accepted it from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the same thing is with us. If he could do that, again, he's obviously much greater than us, but if he was able to be silent and accepting at the death of his two children by the hand of God, when one comes and they insult us or our family or whatever it is, it's obviously they're doing something wrong, but we understand everything that happens to us, all is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a test, chazak. It all comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if we're able to be silent and to accept it and to, absorb the impact of that insult and that degradation, then that is the greatest emunah a person could have, and that is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is looking from us to do. V'im, now to the opposite. V'im yishabehu b'nei adam. What do people come say? Wow, you're so good. Look how you wake up to pray in the morning. Look how you stay to learn after. Look how much tzedakah you give. Look how nice you are. Look at your manners. Look at your character traits. Look what you've created. Look at your children. Look at your family. And it's a song and it's music to your ears. What are you supposed to say? Yomar al tishabihuni. Don't praise me. Don't praise me. Ki pesha'ai ani eda. I might look perfect. I might look like I'm doing good. But each and every one of us, each and every individual knows where their shortcomings are and know where they have fell and know what they need to work on. So of course, doing good and letting others praise you, you need to somewhat gain a little bit of confidence so you can continue to do more. But never hold yourself so high to say, look how good I'm doing. And on the opposite, also, for others to see you doing good, it encourages them to do good. So to twist it for the positive, it's also very easy. But once you're in the positive already, make sure it doesn't get to one's head, and therefore they start absolving themselves from working on those shortcomings and then those issues that they really need to work on. And who knows that? You for sure know it. Kadosh Baruch Hu knows it, and one more person knows it. Your wife. Your wife knows it. She knows your strengths. She knows your shortcomings. And a great relationship between a husband and wife is that the husband and the wife, even though they know each other's shortcomings, chas v'shalom, they don't use it against them. They try to help them grow through that. That's the whole purpose it's one of the main purposes of a marriage. Before a person is married, they can be the greatest tzaddik, greatest, most pious individual, whether a man or a woman. All of a sudden, when they need to start sharing their life with somebody, and now they need to compromise, and now they need to give someone else is a man de'amar, as we learn in Gemara. There's another opinion. What color to paint the wall, which furniture to get, how to raise the kids, which school to raise the kids, what you need to wear. What's my wife bothered with the way I dress? This is all a part of growth. And as we know, women are, and husbands as well to the women, spouses are able to take the shortcomings of the individual, of the opposite side, and they are either able to magnify them and make a huge deal out of it, chas v'shalom, and crush the spouse, or what the whole purpose of marriage is in order to help the spouse grow through those shortcomings. So that's the idea of accepting the rebuke or the berating one gives to us, and also not becoming so excited over when one praises us. Gonna move on to. We're gonna continue. We'll do questions after. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. Ya'abducha amim. We are continuing with the halacha in the Rambam, Hilchot Talmud Torah. The Rambam asks an amazing question, a fascinating question, and this will tie us right into the concept of humility. And he says, Ad immatai hayav lilmod Torah. Until when does a person need to learn Torah? Let's take example, the great rabbi, we're having a great rabbi come tonight, Rabbi Yisrael Abergel, Chacham Ovadia Yosef, any of the greatest Hamidei Chachamim. The Rambam was writing it not only for our generation, but obviously his generation, and he was writing it for himself also, the great Maimonides. Till when is an individual need to learn Torah? Ad Yom Moto, until the very last day of their life. Now, why is that? Anyone who starts learning Torah, and until you start, you never could even understand this concept, that the more you learn, the more you realize that there is to learn. The more you know, you'll realize the more you don't know, which is not a discouraging concept to those of us who stay and they learn Talmud, whether it's the Talmud, the first class, or even the second class. We realize how deep we get into certain concepts and certain topics. And we, on one hand, feel very proud of ourselves that we're able to delve into it. On the other hand, we realize if we're delving into this concept so deep, and it's so fulfilling, but imagine how much more there is to learn. So it's a balance. It's a balance between confidence and humility at the same time. Everything in life is that way. It's a balance between confidence and humility. Confidence, because thank God you're learning and you're delving into it deeper and deeper and you're accumulating knowledge. Yet on the other hand, humility, how much is there? Look how much more there is to learn. I always say that learning Torah is humbling. It humbles a person to learn Torah. Because at the same time that they're gaining more knowledge, again, they're realizing that there's so much more in any aspect if it comes to understanding the biblical stories. If it is coming to understanding halachot, the laws, the Talmud, Midrash, any Mussar, any aspect of our Zohar, obviously Kabbalah, any aspect of our Torah, there's always more and more to learn, and it's very humbling once you start to realize that how much more there is to continue. Shenemar, so it says here, you should never allow this Torah to leave your heart kol yemei chayecha, every day of your life. Bechol zman shelo yasod belimud hu shocheach. The Rambam tells us, and this is so true, anytime a person does not involve himself in learning Torah, they will forget the Torah. It doesn't mean he's going to soon say, it doesn't mean you need to involve yourself 24/7. But as we know, the Pasuk says, Im yazveni, how's the word go? Yom yazveka yomayim. If you leave the Torah for one day, it's going to take you 2 days to get back into the role, to get back into your groove, to get back into that concept. And therefore, every single day, we need to be learning Torah. Many people, many of us, I'm not going to mention names, even as children, we were able to learn Mishnah, and maybe as teenagers, Gemara. And then, lo alenu, it happens with time. You are not as involved as in learning that type of learning or that deep of learning. And then you come back to it many years later and you said, how come is it not entering? How come am I not able to do this? It's because if a person stops, it's very hard to get back into the role of things. So now what can we do from this? We can say, let's get back into the role and not let ourselves get out of it. And I'm preaching to the choir. Everyone here is obviously involved in major learning. And that's an amazing thing. V'chayav bet, v'chayav l'shalesh et zman limudo. A person has to split up their learning of Torah into 3 different segments and topics. Number 1, shlish b'Torah shebichtav, the written Torah. Number 2, shlish b'Torah shebe'al peh. The third is in the oral Torah. We're going to explain each one. Ushlish, and the third, yavin v'yaskil aharit davar mereshito, v'yotze davar midavar, v'dame ledavar ledavar, v'yavin memidot she'atorah nidreshet bahen, ad she'yeda hayach hu ikar hamidot v'hayach yotze ha'isur v'hamutar, chayotze medrim ha'elu shenamad mipi hashmua, v'inyan ze hu nikra gemara. So therefore, the Rambam says, person's supposed to divide their learning into the following 3 compartments. The first is learning the written Torah, which would be the Chumash. Chumash. The second would be learning Mishnah. Chazak u'baruch. Mishnah is the raw oral Torah. However, when one learns Mishnah, they're not learning the comparison between this halacha and this opinion and this opinion. It's just straight out kind of like a rule book. But we know, as many as know, exactly, we know that the Mishnah is not halacha l'maaseh. That is just the oral Torah in the way it was regarded. No. I'll give the examples. 1 second. The first is written Torah, straight out Pesukim. Okay. The second is the oral Torah, the way it was firstly recorded, as the Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi came and compiled it as the Mishnah. The third segment is what we like to call Gemara as well as Halacha. Gemara goes, and as we've all seen, it takes different Mishnayot and different Braitot that all were recorded or not recorded as so well, and they go and they analyze, they cross-analyze each one. They say, does this one the right halacha, this one the right halacha? Okay, they're both right, because this is in one situation, this is in another situation. And go on and on and on, all the way down to understanding what the proper halachic mode of operation and of fulfillment is. Those are the three things. Now, a person, if they do not know the basic psukim in the Torah, it's very hard to continue onto Mishnah and even onto Gemara. That's why the proper education system for children is first paying attention, obviously past Aleph Bet and reading, is paying clear attention on the Chumash as well as the Nevi'im, and then to Mishnayot, even though they're not learning Halacha, that's fine. And then eventually getting to Gemara and to learning Halacha. There's a system in our Torah, in learning the Torah and also in progressing in our Torah. So this is what the Rambam says. Split up your day into three.
Isn't that what Chok said was supposed to be in the beginning, in the division? Until they added
could be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
They added Mussar and all the stuff.
Yes. Ketzad. How so? How should a person do? Haya bal umanut. A person was a working man. Now look at what the Rambam considers a working man's day looks like. You ready? Hold on to your chairs. I don't want anyone to fall off.
Back then, that's was. Today it's different.
בעל אומנות, והיה עוסק במלאכתו ג' שעות ביום. He would be working 3 hours of his day. He had to have been a business owner, right?
Sign me up.
Then, ubatorah tesha, and he would be learning 9 hours a day. So a person that would like to work only 3 hours a day, you can only do that if you're learning 9 hours a day. Now, learning 9 hours a day is not a serious thing. I don't know if anyone's ever, if one has not ever partook.
There is people that doesn't work and don't
9 hours a day.
They don't do the 9 hours.
Let's not go and blame. Let's not go and blame.
No, but
9 hours is doable. 9 hours. If you're an avrech, anyone who joined us in our, is anyone here join us? No, and this year B'ezrat Hashem, everyone will join us. But anyone who joined us in our Lakewood trip, they understand what it means.
how many hours they study over there? Average.
Way more than 9. Let's make it average. Just your basic obligation would be, let's say, from 9 to 1. So is that 4 hours? Okay. And then let's say
3.
Let's just say 3, like to give you leeway. 3 to 6, and then 8 to 10. So we got 5, 9 hours. Very good. So your basic.
That's all the time.
There's no time to work.
I think this is the.
Oh, that's
the top
again.
today.
No, but that's basic. There's others. There's many. But they learn either before Shalit or they start at 8. They don't start at 9. It depends if the person has a family or not. The person has kids and they have to maybe take their kids to school in the morning, or they have to spend time in the middle of the day with their kids. But many. That's the basic schedule.
I think 9 hours today is the one that's waiting for not working. Those are the ones that get support.
But listen, there are people. It's not many. There are people who are working men that they are able to fit in 8-9 hours a day besides for working. Tzadikim gemurim. They have the most respect. More respect than those who just learn as the example that we said. And a person who's a working a man.
When do you have time for your wife?
Well, you make it. You make it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So
Rabbi can make it. It's only
listen.
Rabbi, lifeguard,
Let's
from
continue.
7 עד 7.
Let's continue. Yeah, 12 hours. Listen, policemen, firefighters, they have 12-hour shifts. So for God, we can do it too. But again, learning Torah is not an easy task. Again, that Hashem this year for our liquid trip, everyone will join us, and you'll see what 3 days of learning 9 hours a day does to a person. You have to really be cut out for it. It's not the easiest. Okay, Halacha Gimel. Ketzad, okay, we saw that. כיצד היה בעל אמנות והיה עוסק במלאכתו ג' שעות ביום ובתורה 9 שעות עד 9 כשקורא בשלוש מהן תורה שבכתב. So then the Rambam says, so 3 hours work, 3 hours written Torah, 3 hours oral Torah, and then 3 hours Gemara. Now, ודברי קבלה, נביאים וכתובים, בכלל תורה שבכתב הן, fall into the first segment of written Torah. ופירושן בכלל תורה שבעל פה. And the Kabbalah, the Rambam does not mean over here Kabbalah like the Zohar. No. No. Let's repeat. When the Rambam refers to Kabbalah, he is referring to Nevi'im and Ketuvim. It's obvious. It's definitely clear that it's that way. Okay?
Why?
It's a fact. Divrei Kabbalah, the Talmud always refers to Divrei Kabbalah as Nevi'im and Ketuvim, as opposed to the Chumash. So the Rambam is telling us that Divrei Kabbalah, Nevi'im and Ketuvim fall under Torah shebichtav, the first category. Okay, next. Ve'anyanim anikreim pardes. That's what we were wanted to refer to as Kabbalah, right? Pshat, Remesh, Drash, and Sod, Bichlal HaGmarahen, are part of the third category. So all of this, splitting up a person's day and learning time into 3, is at the beginning of their learning. Okay? I can give you an example. Rav Chaim Kanievsky, who is the greatest scholar, one of the greatest rabbis in the world, Bnei Brak, he definitely does not spend 3 hours or a third of his time of the day learning the Chumash and the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim. He's learned that. He knows it. He spends more on learning the Gemara and the Halacha and the deeper, harder concepts. So that's what the Rambam says. He says at the beginning of a person's learning, when they need to get themselves and until they know it, that's when they split it up this way. But once they've already delved deeper in and they know more, then they do not need to split it third. Then they spend most of their concentration on that last segment of Gemara and Halacha. So let's read that inside. When he gets much grander and deeper in his wisdom, ולא יהיה צריך לא ללמוד תורה שבכתב ולא לעסוק תמיד בתורה שבעל פה, יקרא בעיתים מזומנים תורה שבכתב ודברי שמועה. He should sometimes go back to that, obviously, like Shnai Mikra V'Chara Targum, as we all know, in order that he doesn't forget it. But v'ifnei kol yamav, the majority of his day should be Gemara bilvad, lefi rochav sheyesh belibo v'yishuv da'ato, as deep as he can possibly go into it. Yeah, that is, again, when a person learns Talmud, they are obviously reviewing what it says in the Chumash. Obviously not as deep as if you just go straight into the Chumash. It's deeper in a different way. But a person that's really, we're talking real Talmidei Chachamim, that they really know the Chumash backwards, forwards, and they know the Mefarshim and everything. It would be redundant for them to keep on repeating it when there's so much more depth and even hard content when it comes to learning Gemara and Halacha. So that's what the Rambam is telling us. Yeah. Review. Daled. Isha shelamda Torah. A woman that learns Torah. Yesh la sechar. She has reward for the learning. Aval ena kischar ha'ish. She does not have the same reward for learning Torah as a man. Why not? The Rambam says, as one of the very, very great concepts in our Talmud, found in many different places, mipnei shelo nitztavit, because she is not obligated. She was not commanded to learn Torah the way men were. V'chol ha'oseh davar she'eno mitzuveh, alav la'asoto, en secharo kischar ha'mitzuveh she'asa, ela pachot mimenu. So this is a concept the Talmud speaks about. You have two people. You have someone which was commanded to do something and one that wasn't. And if they both fulfill it, who has a greater merit? So some of us might like to say the one that wasn't commanded because they did it voluntarily. However, the Talmud proves, and there's different reasons why, that the one who does it, even though they are commanded, they have a greater merit. There's a couple of reasons, I'll just mention them briefly. The Rishonim speak about different reasons. The first is because they are fulfilling the commandment of God, which that in itself is a great reward. As well as, there are those who like to explain that once someone's commanded to do something, they obviously all of a sudden have a yetzer. They have an inclination to not do. If I tell you to do something, then you'll have an inclination to not do it. You know, as a father, sometimes as parents, we have to find ways, instead of commanding our children to do stuff, to try to get them to want to do it on their own. Right? A lot of the time using the word, can you do me a favor, changes the whole transaction, the whole interaction completely. When you say do this for your child to do it, opposed to do me a favor or would you like to, you give them the choice, then they like to do it right away. They'd have a bigger inclination to want to fulfill it. However, when you command, then there's obviously an inclination that says, I don't want to do it. And therefore, men, since we are obligated to learn Torah much more than women only need to know what they need to know, men need to know everything, we have a greater merit when we learn Torah. Not taken away from the merit of women learning Torah, and women still need to learn Torah at the same token. Next, ואף על פי שיש לה שכר ציוו חכמים שלא ילמד אדם את ביתו תורה. Now it says as follows. Chachamim said you should not teach your daughter Torah. The Rambam is going to explain what that means. Your daughters. מפני שרוב הנשים אין ידיעתן מכוונת להתלמד, אלא הן מוציאות דברי תורה לדברי הווי לפי עניות דעתן. This is something we have to understand. It's something which is not so popular in modern society. But it's a fact. Men and women are wired differently. Men and women were created differently. We know that women are, for the most part, more emotional than men. And men are more systematic, more factual based. That's why very often when a wife comes to her husband with a problem, instead of the husband commiserating with her, he's giving her the solution. But she doesn't want a solution. Men are very solution oriented. Women are not necessarily. They just want a shoulder to cry on. They just want someone to hear them out.
They just want to complain.
They just want to complain. They just want to express their emotional aspect of themselves. And men, many of us, don't have the time or the patience for that because it's not resonating with what's going on in our minds. And that's also another added aspect of marriage. Learning to do for the other the way they like it to be done. If you know someone that they don't like ice cream, but you love ice cream and you buy ice cream for them, you're not really doing something for them. Because then you know that you're going to bring them the ice cream and they say, I don't want, and then you're going to eat it yourself. Right? That's the whole concept of ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your fellow like yourself. Don't do for your fellow what you like. Do for your fellow what you would want others to do to you. It's very, very important. And therefore, at the same token, women, the way women learn and the way women understand is different than men. Men, nowadays, I'll have to confess, many men are not able to do this. That's why learning Gemara for many is very, very hard. But the men are able to and are supposed to be able to extract themselves emotionally from the topic that they are learning and get more factually into it. And then stop asking, to those, I'm not looking at anyone specifically, stop asking what if questions and let's say questions. Because what that is doing is that is now impressing our emotional part and our experience onto the matter rather than just taking in the concepts and the topics that we're supposed to learn at first glance, right? Women, at the other hand, as soon as you explain them something, you speak to them and you learn them a concept about killing someone, or someone killing someone, or someone losing something, or a fire, or a loss, or anything emotional, all of a sudden their emotions overcome them, and it's very hard for them to grasp the concept at hand to get to the bottom line of what we're about to learn. And this is one of the main reasons why traditionally and the proper Orthodox method of learning is not to teach women Gemara. Not because we're hiding something from them, or not because there's something that they cannot do. They could. They've been women that can learn Gemara way better than men. However, the method that Gemara was written and it's supposed to be learned for the most women, I'm not going to say for every, for most women is not the way that their brains were written and made to learn. That's exactly what the Rambam says. Lefi aniyut da'atan. We understand that women could be somewhat more lightheadedness. It's very easy. Lahavdil elef havdalot, and you don't need to hear this from me, but women are more flirty than men, and very often men take advantage of that to chas v'shalom even abuse women. I don't need to explain more than that. And that is because a woman's mind, and it works in their, no smirks, right? It works in their advantage and it works in their disadvantage. The fact that we are very factual and solution oriented is also a plus, but it's also a negative. There's no perfect, and that's why a man and a woman are supposed to come together and they're supposed to complement each other's, again, as we said before, shortcomings and successes. And with basically on all of that, all of basically what we just said, therefore women ideally should not be learning Gemara because they'll get too emotionally caught up in the topic rather than it more being factually based. Now let's finish off what the Rambam says. Amru chachamim kol amlamedet bito Torah ki'ilu lamdat tiflut. Anybody who teaches their daughters Torah is as if they're teaching them foolishness. So what does that mean? The Rambam explains, "B'mei dvarim orim b'Torah shebe'al peh, אבל תורה שבכתב לא ילמד אותה לכתחילה ואם לימדה אינו כלימדת תפילות." It says as follows. The Rambam is of the opinion that a person, it seems, shouldn't even go out of their way to teach their daughters the Torah shebichtav, even the written law, the written Torah. However, that's not foolishness if they learn it. Now, the Rambam is not talking about all of the halachot, obviously, that a woman need to know, and a person needs to teach their daughters. Obviously, not all of the biblical stories where we learn Mussar from. Women have an obligation to learn Mussar, Torah ethics, and human ethics, just as men do. There's absolutely no difference. Law, the same way. Torah ethics and Mussar, the same way. When it comes to the depth of halachot, and the depth of the Talmud, and the intricacies of even our written Torah, that's something that women don't have an obligation to learn, and in many cases is even frivol and foolish. Chas v'shalom. So therefore, a person has to know their place, their children's place, how to teach their children in the best way for them to succeed. And again, it's not like we're hiding anything from anybody. What we're doing in Chachamim Institute is to give to everybody in the greatest way and in the way that they were created to learn and to understand. The same way like you do not give a middle school child a textbook of a high school child, they're not going to be able to learn those concepts the same way. There was a way for men to learn and a way for women to learn. And it doesn't mean one is greater than the other. It's just each for their own. When one child decides to take social studies and another child decides to take science, that's fine. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It doesn't even mean that one's going to make more money than the other. It has nothing to do with anything. There's two tracts, and there's a tract for men, and there's a tract for women. Chazak Baruch. We'll turn off the camera and we'll take some questions.